Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move that the committee continue the debate on Mr. Scheer's motion and the amendment of Mr. Genuis and the sub-amendment of Madame Vignola.
This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Propose the following motion. So therefore, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that the committee report to the House that, given that, 1, GC Strategies owners, Kristen Firth and Darren Anthony, were issued summonses on November 2nd, 2023, compelling their appearance before the committee on December 5th, 2023, and refused to testify. And new summonses were issued for them to appear by February 9th, 2024. And again, GC Strategies owners refused to testify before the committee. 2, the Auditor General revealed that GC Strategies received nearly $20 million in government contracts on ArriveCAN alone, double what was originally projected. 3, the Government of Canada has $250 million in contracts with GC Strategies listed on its website, but claims they cannot confirm the accuracy of this amount as the website is prone to error, casting further doubt on how much this two-person IT company has received since the company formed in 2015. And 4, the RCMP is investigating contracting links to ArriveCAN and has met with the Auditor General concerning her findings in the ArriveCAN audit. The committee recommend that an order of the House do issue requiring Christian Firth and Darren Anthony each to appear before the Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates at dates and times determined by the chair of the committee, but within 14 days of the adoption of this order, provided that if the chair of the committee informs the Speaker and the Sergeant-at-Arms in writing that one or both have failed to appear as ordered, A, the Sergeant-at-Arms shall take Christian Firth, Darren Anthony, or both of them, as the case may be, into his custody for the purposes of enforcing their attendance before the committee at dates and times determined by the chair of the committee, for which the Speaker shall issue his warrant accordingly. And B, the Sergeant-at-Arms shall discharge from his custody a witness taken into his custody pursuant to paragraph A upon 1, a decision of the committee releasing the witness from further attendance, or 2, a further order of the House to that effect, and C, the Speaker shall inform the House at the earliest opportunity of developments in this regard.
We were going to go to a vote on the original motion.
Okay.
Can we do that, colleagues?
I still have the floor.
Sorry, the original sub-motion. And I have Ms. Adwin. Go ahead then, Mr. Barrett.
Yeah.
We won't get to a vote.
Sure. So I don't need any clarification from Mr. Kasmerchek. It's quite clear that if there is not agreement in the subcommittee to the accommodation, then the meeting doesn't happen. Yep. And so having the meeting behind closed doors is the opportunity for the Liberals to kill it, just like they were trying to do with their filibuster. And so I don't have confidence in them. And so I would be unable to support an element of this motion that removes the transparent nature of public debate and discussion on this, because good faith hasn't been shown to this point. And so that's not a courtesy that we can support. If there are discussions to have, the discussions should happen in public. If the commitment is that the committee will discuss accommodations in public, well, then there's transparency. That's something that is a different conversation to have. But as for closed door, cameras off, backroom deals where there's an opportunity for the cover-up coalition to engage, I can't abide.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. That is absolutely uncalled for. That snide comment at the end.
Thanks. I see Ms. Atwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in the interest of time and maybe coming to a final negotiation here, if we don't send it to the subcommittee, that it's the committee can decide, and then implementation would fall to you, Mr. Chair. Would that be more agreeable to my colleague, Mr. Barrett?
Indeed, it would.
Great.
Atwin, we should have had you
Sorry,
speak
but
like
that's
3
just in
hours
camera,
ago.
correct? Sorry, that point of order, whether it's in subcommittee or whether it's in committee as a whole, this will be in camera, so we can talk about all of those things freely, correct?
Well, I'm not. Ms. Atwin, what were you suggesting? Could you confirm that to Mr. Jouari, what you were suggesting?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's because it's the accommodations for sensitive health concerns. So I guess I made the assumption it would be in camera. Hopefully that's still agreeable for my colleague.
Mr. Barrett?
The difference, of course, is that the full committee has the ability to move in and out of in-camera proceedings as necessary. And so if there's information that can only be dealt with in camera, then it ought to be dealt with there. But if there's information that are just logistical in nature, then if there's consensus that would only be dealt with in public, and that we agree that the chair will report out of any in-camera we have, then it's absolutely then that satisfies the transparency and the protection of any personal information.
Perfect. With the assumption that the actual meeting with GC is in public, as I think Mr. Kuzmierczak stated, I think. Mr. Souza, you have your hand up, sir? I really appreciate everyone working together for this. I think we have a solution, and I will read it, and this will be on Ms. Vignola's sub-amendment. We'll just need UC to accept these changes. Under the paragraph that starts with first step, we'll say, but within 21 days of the adoption of this order and with such accessibility accommodations, the witnesses may request to be agreed upon by the committee and the chair agreed to arrange. Understanding, of course, that the committee can move in and out of camera anytime they want. Under Section A, where it starts, under second step, Section A, where it says the Sergeant at Arms shall take, et cetera, for the purposes, second line, for the purposes of enforcing their attendance before the committee in public at dates and times determined by the chair of the committee. So we're fine with that? Yep. Great. So if I have UC on that, perfect. So that we now have to vote on this sub-amendment, Ms. Vignola's sub-amendment, as we just discussed. Do we need a vote, or are we fine adopting Ms. IC agreement to adopt? Yep. So that's done. We are now into discussing Mr. Garnett's original amendment, which I understand he will withdraw. If we can have UC, if Mr. Genuis agrees. He agrees. If we can have UC to withdraw Mr. Genuis's original amendment. Perfect. We will now vote on the motion as amended. Can we just agree, or I see thumbs up all around? So adopted. Colleagues, thank you very much. A lot of very good points brought up by all sides, I will state, so I sincerely appreciate it. I appreciate the work of our clerk, who is with us for a couple more days, dealing with us. Unless there's something else, we will be adjourned.
Thank you, Julie. Just a point of order, Chair. Sometimes there are delays in getting the minutes of the committee up. Could you ask the clerk to distribute the correct form of the motion that was adopted by email to members, just so we can have it and know have the exact text in front of us right away before the minutes are published?
Yeah, you'll have it out today in both official languages. Sometime today, before end of business day, probably. Satisfactory? Wonderful. Colleagues, thank you again, sincerely. Again, a lot of good points all around by everyone. We are adjourned.